All right, Shalom. Kahalal Yahabashem Yahushai. Bahashem Harakar Kadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that striving for salvation. So I want to get into a lesson today. Basically, I'm going to go into two different concepts of the truth. One is the testing of the hopeful elect. See, the things that's going on right now, that's constantly going on, is prophecy. Different prophecies is coming out on a worldwide basis. All from the four corners of the earth, you got prophecies happening on and on. So as more and more prophecy comes about, more and more testing of the elect is going to happen. Testing of the hopeful elect. Because the elect has to be tested, has to be battle tested, tried and refined and approved by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So they don't get the physical test. They go through the spiritual test. Part of it is, well, the main part of it is the flesh. Your flesh is tested on a daily basis. Every day, Satan, as you sleep through the night, Satan has called for plays on your life. Different plays, like a sports analogy, he's blitzing you. He's blitzing you to try to sack you out of the truth. So you can go back into the world, and so you be no good to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and no good to yourself. So he's devising different plots and plans to try to shake your spirit, try to shake your faith, so he can get you out of the spirit. But the Most High, if you're part of his elect, you're gonna withstand those trials and those tests, because they're approved by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Satan has to go to the Most High and say, hey, I want to try this member of your elect, and I want to put this test to him. And Yahweh Shem Yahushai says, yea or nay, whether or not Satan can test you in those ways. But even if he allows Satan to test you in that way, the Most High has ways to get you out of it. And the first scripture I'm going to read is 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. It says, there had no temptation taken you, but such as is common unto man. So no matter what you tempted with in this flesh, there's nothing that can tempt you out of the spirit if you're part of the Most High's elect. Because this is all for the elect. So if you are tempted by something, this is a reassuring scripture that you'll get through that temptation. Because temptation comes from Satan, it don't come from the Most High. It tells you that in James. I'm going to read it from the top again. It says, there is no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man, Salakia. But the Most High is faithful. So that's huge. When it comes to the Most High's elect, they're blameless to him, so he's faithful to them. He's faithful to getting you out of whatever you get into. Whatever thing that you go through, the Most High already has a way for you to get out of it. And it's all pleasure unto him, because he receives all the glory. What do you do when you get through something that was tough in the flesh? Or you get through a trial or tribulation, something you knew that you was being put to the test, and you get through it? You praise the Most High. And that's what he requires, and that's what he deserves. It said, but the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able. So let's say your temptation line goes up here. Another brothers might be here, another brothers might be here. But you say yours is here. No matter what, that temptation is going to come and it's going to stop right there. It may tempt you to the fullest of what you can handle. Yeah, that happens. That's going to happen often. That's how your temptation level goes higher and higher and higher as your faith increases. Because every time you get through a temptation, you praise the Most High. The Most High has some faith that he want to give you, because it's a gift of his that he gives to his elect. And you're going to have to go through the ultimate temptations and the ultimate tests and trials and tribulations, so the Most High can give you that full gift of faith that's going to get you through the real test. That's the day of the Lord's wrath. So it says, the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able. So just know, whatever you're being tempted, it's somewhere between the beginning of your temptation level to the fullest of your temptation level, but it ain't going to go beyond what you can handle. Another brother might not be able to handle what it is that you can handle, and then you might not be able to handle what he can handle. Every brother's temptation is tailor-made. Like, it's tailor-made specifically for your spirit, that your spirit can handle it, and other brothers might not can handle it. That's why it's key to if a brother's going through something, let another brother know so that brother can pray for you. So you can pray for that brother. Brothers always pray for one another. When you salute a brother, that's prayers. You pray to the Most High, bless that man, that he may get through temptations. Because it's a prayer for blessing. You want peace upon that man. And how does a man receive peace? When he's fully in the spirit and he's not wavering. That's when you have peace. When you can battle whatever Satan brings forth in front of you, and your spirit can handle it, because you have peace through the spirit. Satan can't get you out your game, out your spiritual game. Even though you may slip and fall, notice that the scriptures say that an eloquent man knoweth when he's slipping. So when you off your game and you off in the spirit, that's why the scriptures say you got to try yourself every day. You got to examine yourself to make sure that you're in spirit for that day. You may be out of the spirit, so you need to check yourself and see if you're still in the spirit. And if you're not, then you will rebuke Satan, because Satan is the reason why you got out of spirit more than likely, or you just bullshitting and lollygagging. But either way it goes, Satan probably got you out of spirit somehow, some way. So you rebuke Satan, and then you repent for it. If you got to fast forward, and then you get back up and you keep moving straight forward in that narrow path. So it says, the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. But with the temptation, with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So you'll be able to bear what temptation that was placed on you, what trial and what tribulations, infirmities, afflictions that you may have suffered, because we suffer daily, man. We daily go through sufferings, on minute by minute. If you're really in the spirit, minute by minute, Satan is, even if you don't feel like nothing happened to you, Satan is plotting on you. He don't take time off. He don't take a time off to tempt and pressure the elect spirits. The elect spirit is being tested and being tested on a daily basis. Even if you may not recognize it, trust it, believe it's coming at you. It could just be the thoughts. It could be the thoughts that you're not having. Satan might have you being tested with a whole bunch of worldly thoughts, and you ain't even caught on the fact that, damn, why is this worldly shit coming in my mind? Why am I thinking about this? You know what I'm saying? So when you're in the spirit, you constantly combat that with spiritual thoughts. So whatever you go through, you're gonna go through it to the fullest of your tailor-made spirit can handle. Then the Most High will make you a way to get out of that, and you praise Him. Instantly praise the Most High. When you praise the Most High for every little victory, praise the Most High for every little loss that you take, because it's all for the betterment of your spirit. The next scripture I want to get into is the 2 Corinthians. This is an experience that our big brother Apostle Paul went through, and I'm gonna start from the top. This is 2 Corinthians 12, and I'm gonna start at 1. It says, "It is not expedient for me doubtlessly to glory. I will come to the vision and revelations of the Lord. I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. The Most High knoweth." He had an out-of-body experience. It says such and one caught up to the third heaven, which means basically Paul, he experienced where his spirit went up to the spirit realm. That's because that's the third heaven. The third heaven is the spirit realm. Because you have 3 heavens. You have the heavens when you look up in the sky and you can see the clouds. That's when the birds fly higher than that, when planes fly, those clouds, those are heavens. That's the first heaven. The second heaven is outer space. Out in the space you see the stars. Out in that's the second heaven. And then the third heaven represents the fourth dimension, which is the spirit realm, where the Most High's throne is, where Yahweh Shai dwell with the heavenly angels and the spirits that are in the spirit realm. So that's the third heaven where Paul's spirit went up to. So he got a full glimpse of what takes place in the third heaven. It says, "And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. The Most High knoweth, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words. So basically, the word that Paul could describe the spiritual realm was paradise. It was paradise. That means everything was in spiritual order. There was no wickedness. There was no sin. Everything was in its proper order. Everything was in righteous order. So it was a paradise. It says, and I heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for man to utter, which is probably the truth. Paul realized that this is the truth. He probably received those unspeakable words. Was there probably the fact that things that are in order in heaven is going to come to earth. That's why the Lord's Prayer says that everything shall be done in heaven as it is done on earth as it is in heaven. Pure righteousness, and the Israelites reign and supreme in that righteousness, in that paradise, in that heaven. So that's why he says it wasn't unlawful to utter, because that's the truth. To utter the lawfulness of the truth is the fact that the Israelites will be in power. We're going to be in righteous rulership over the nations. That's righteous. That's what it is. That's what goes on in the spiritual realm. Verse 5, it says, of such an one I will glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. So Paul basically said he's going to glorify in his infirmities, because he knows that his infirmities are what he needs to build his spirit up and humble him. Because Paul was given a heavy dose of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. His oil, King David said that his cup overfloweth, runneth over. So was Paul's. Paul's cup was overflow. That's why all majority of the second Testament, which is the New Testament, is mainly written by Paul. That's the task that the Most High had given to him. That's why the scriptures say that he shall suffer great things. He shall suffer great things in the Most High's honor. Paul has to suffer all these things because why? For one, to humble him. For two, Paul had a tall order. So more was given unto him. So more knowledge, shalom. More knowledge was given unto him. Verse 6. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. So Paul was humble. Paul was extremely humble, man. Because Paul didn't want people glorifying him. He wanted the glorification go to Yahweh Yahushai. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And he didn't want to take any glory upon himself. So he didn't want any man to think of him anything above what he really is, which is a humble man and a servant of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, one of the strong apostles. Verse 7, it says, and least I should be exalted above measure through the abundance and of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh. So Paul didn't want to be exalted. He didn't want, because him and Barnabas, when you go into the book of Acts, they were being exalted. Paul had to set them being exalted above what he felt he should be exalted from. He's a servant. A servant puts himself in a lower state, right? Humility. So Paul was being humble. Him and Barnabas were being exalted. He had to set Israelites that didn't have understanding to say, no, you exalt Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not me. We're just servants. And that's how the brothers, that's in the right spirit at these times, that's how we look at it. We look at it, we don't want to be exalted. We want to exalt Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We want him to get the glory. Because when Yahushai comes back, that's when the elect, the hopeful elect, will become the elect, and those elect men will receive glory. They will receive glory with Yahushua. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick, just for edification. This is Romans 8:17. It says, and if the children then heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Yahushua, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So we don't want the glory on this side. We don't want men glorifying us. We want men to glorify Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And when Yahushai comes back and he receives his glory, the elect, which is joint heirs with Yahushua, will receive that glory, the portion that's due unto them. But we're in the mindset of Yahweh Yahushua, they get the glory first. We glorify them. Any glory comes our way, get passed over up to them. We don't want the glory on this end. We want the suffering, because Yahushua already suffered. He suffered for the elect's sake, and that's what he died for. He died for the elect's sake, not for all Israel. When he got on the cross, he took upon the sins of the whole nation of Israel, but he took on those sins directly was for the elect's sake. So the elect won't have to die in these times. The scripture says man won't receive death. But when he got up there on the cross, let me get the full breakdown of that. When Yahushua got on the cross, he died for the whole nation of Israel. That the whole nation of Israel will receive the kingdom, will be on high, will be in rulership, and won't die. Will be in power. But 2/3 of the nation of Israel, you have to receive death on this side, because you're the ones who put Yahushua to death and said, let his blood be upon our head and upon our children's head. Basically, that's a generational death that the 2/3 are going to receive. In this last death, you're going to partake in, which is the second death, and the final death at that. That's the last death that any Israelite will receive. After that point, rulership. But the elect is who the Yahushua got on the cross, and his blood was actually shed, so that their blood won't be shed in these last days, in the days of the Lord's wrath. They will be taken care of. So the whole nation, like it says, as a matter of fact, let me get that in Romans. This is the reason why Yahushua had died. This is Romans 11:26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. So all of Israel will be saved, meaning all of Israel will be in the kingdom of heaven, in the rulership seat. But when it comes to death in the day of the Lord's wrath, 2/3 you're gonna have to take upon that death, and your blood has to be shed, because you're not covered under the elects when Yahushua died on the cross. I hope that's making sense, and brothers can understand that. Because people want to say, oh, all of Israel is going to be saved in the day of the Lord's wrath. No, only 1/3 is going to be saved. 2/3 is going to die. 1/3 and 144,000. Well, the 144,000 and 1/3 is the elect chosen, the remnant that will receive salvation on this side. 2/3 receive the death, come back into rulership. Let me get back to 2 Corinthians. It says, I'm at verse, I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, no, actually, verse 7. At least I should be exalted above measure, though the abundance of the revelations.
I just want to shake your hand. I know who y'all are, man.
I do pound, bro, because
God bless
that's
you,
the white
brother.
man's customer. That's all right.
God bless you.
All right, shalom, man, shalom. See, our people, truth is getting out. Brother said, I just wanted to shake your hand because I know who y'all are. You know, of course, me, I don't like to shake hands. That's not our custom. I'd rather give them a pound. Lord willing, the Most High just continue to let the prophecies come out, let the truth come out, and let brothers keep pushing this truth. So men like that, the next time he won't be looking for his handshake, but he gonna be looking to be fed. Because things are gonna happen that their church preachers ain't gonna be able to describe. It's gonna be, and Esau ain't gonna be able to, so-called white man ain't gonna be able to deny it. These are heavenly things that are happening that's on the earth, and people gonna have questions. It ain't gonna be just, oh yeah, man, I know y'all, man, I just want to shake. It's gonna be like, yo, man, I need to get this knowledge, because guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna become a famine. It's gonna become a famine. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gonna be able to. We ain't gonna be out here. Brothers ain't gonna be on the streets feeding the flock. Once the elect get sealed, there's going to be a famine, and the word is going to be shut. The door is going to be closed for those who are seeking the knowledge. So then you're going to have to find another way. You're going to have to go to the sellers and buy. You ain't going to be able to get the word, because we're not going to be out there. So if they don't cut the internet, you're going to have to go only online, try to learn what you can online. But the chosen elect, they ain't going to just keep walking by like that. The hopeful elect is going to stop and going to stop and eat. There ain't going to be no drive-through. They're going to stop, and they're going to dine in this word. So back in verse 7, it says, at least I should be exalted above measure, though the abundance of the revelations, there was given me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. So the Most High sent that thorn, you know what I'm saying, that affliction, that infirmity to humble Paul. Because Paul had a lot of knowledge, and the scriptures say knowledge puffeth up. So to keep him grounded and humble, the Most High allowed these infirmities to attack him. You know, Satan was able to attack Paul in many different ways to keep him humble. You know, and not to be exalted and to get, you know, high-minded and puffed up. Verse 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice. Means it was so heavy, the infirmity on him was so heavy that he prayed to the Most High 3 times, remove this from me. Because sometimes when you go through stuff, you know, I myself can attest to suffering different infirmities, that you may want the Most High to relieve you of that. But really it's tailor-made for you, and then the condition that you're in is sufficient for you to grow. Sufficient for you to humble yourself, to be humble, and to grow, and to spiritually exercise. It's exercise. It's working your ass out. Because why? Because there's going to be some things that's going to happen in the day of the Lord's wrath that you're not going to be able to. You ain't going to be able to just be like, oh, I need this taken away. You need to be built up for that already. You need to be ready for that infirmity. So when it hits you, you've already been worked out before the Lord's wrath kicked off, before the day of the Lord's wrath kicked off. You've already had those workouts. You've already been through those infirmities, or infirmities worse than one may be placed on you, or just many different infirmities coming your way. So you're tough enough to deal with what's coming. Because the elect is the hopeful elect is not gonna just slip and slide and skate through the day of the Lord's wrath. You're gonna receive trials, mostly mental and spiritual trials you're gonna go through, but you're gonna have to deal with some physical trials too. You might not eat on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's good to fast. You may not, have access to. You ain't gonna be able to just walk into a store and get a drink. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be able to just, scoop one of these up. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be able to have that luxury. You might have this, and this might have to last you 2-3 days. Things like that. But the scriptures say the Most High gonna take care of us. His elect gonna eat and drink in those days, while everybody else that's not a part of the elect, you're gonna be you're gonna hunger and thirst, and you're gonna cry. So, but it's a balance to it. That don't, the scriptures say you'll have abundance. Let's examine that. The scriptures say you'll have abundance in that time. Abundance might be 2 water bottles when everybody else got none. That's abundance. So you gotta be able to prepare yourself physically and mentally, and ultimately spiritually, to deal with the stuff that you may not have access to. You know what I'm saying? You might have, a backpack full of stuff that you gotta make last for an extended period of time, and that's your abundance compared to somebody else out there ain't got a goddamn thing. So the Most High is gonna provide, but He didn't say it's gonna be like an Israelite party. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna have burgers and fridges. You ain't gonna have that. Those men are gonna have that, and you may not have that, but you'll have what you need, because the Most High will give you what you need in your time, and in your dire needs, the Most High will provide. So back to the scriptures, Paul had to get this thorn in the side, and the thorn in his side was to humble him, and to toughen his spirit, and to toughen him physically, and it humbled him, because he asked the Most High 3 times, take this away from me. So let's see what the Most High, let's see what Yahweh had to say to him. It said, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Whew. So let's examine that. Let's examine that. So Yahweh said that what I'm giving you is perfect for you. It's what you need to perfect your spirit in your weakness. Strengthen you. You'll be made strong through your weaknesses, because your weaknesses will be built up to strengths. So you'll be able to be like, I got through that. And because you're going to be praying to Yahweh by Shimei Shah as you go through. So Paul was praying to the Most High, to the Lord to take that away from him. So he must have been praying, the first and second time prayers went up. He might not even really understand why he was going through what he was going through. And let alone being in a situation where he has to take that, whatever physically infirmity he had. It says, let me read that part again. It says, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. My punishments are perfect for you. In other words, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Meaning your weaknesses will be turned to strengths. You just got to get through what I'm giving you because you need it. It will build you up. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Yahushua may rest upon me. So he still gives glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. The power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua may rest upon him because he's giving glory as he gets through his infirmity. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities. Wait a minute. So Paul was in a condition to where he prayed 3 times. He prayed 3 times, asking that this be taken from him. Every time, it probably came on him harder. Think about that. Let that manifest spiritually. Let that manifest to yourself. He prayed 3 times. Because if he prayed 1 time and it didn't go away, it probably came back harder. So he had to pray again twice. And even if it didn't come back hard, let's just say it continued at the pace it was, at the level that it was. It came back, he came back and prayed a 2nd time, and then he prayed a 3rd time. And then he got an answer from Yahushua through the Spirit telling him, this is perfect for you, you're going to grow from this. And what happened? Sure enough, it happened, because in the 10th verse it says, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities. Now it pleases him to receive infirmities. And why does it pleases him to receive infirmities? Because the scriptures say if you're not being chastised, then you're not a son of the Most High. You're not if you're not receiving chastisement. Matter of fact, let me grab this right quick. This is Hebrews 12, and I'm going to start at verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. So that's what Paul was going through, what he was going through. He was getting chastised and he was getting scourged. Why? Because he was a son of the Most High. He was a son/servant of the Most High. So he had to receive these. If you endure chastisement, which Paul did, he prayed for it not to have to endure it, but he kept having to endure it. So therefore, he ultimately endured it and stopped praying for it to be taken away. But because in that situation, if you pray for the Most High to relieve you of an infirmity, and you see that you continue to suffer this infirmity, it's time to stop asking for this infirmity to be taken away from you, and it's time to start praying that the Most High strengthen you to endure that infirmity. Strengthen you so strong that infirmity is not as heavy weight on you as it was before, because the Most High gave you a portion of strength to endure that infirmity that he's placing upon you. So therefore you can get through that infirmity stronger ways than you did in the past. And you praise Yahweh Bashem Yahushua for that. It says, if you endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, wherewithal are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons. So if you're in this truth and you're not going through some type of tribulation, afflictions, infirmities, trials, and tests, you're not going through these things, and if they're not really bugging and bothering the hell out you, then you're not one of his. So then you might want to pray, fast, and ask the Most High where you stand with him when it comes to this. Because you might be receiving something, but it ain't so bothersome to you, because the Most High is giving you a stronger portion of strength. But you best believe that dial will be turned up. The heat will be turned up, and you will start to feel those infirmities. So be impatient. Be patient with the infirmities that you're receiving when you feel like you're not receiving strong enough chastisement. And you may have that doubt come in, am I a man of the Lord? Is the Most High dealing with me? I'm not suffering what I see my brethren suffer. I'm not going through something I see another man go, oh, don't worry. The scripture saying, Apocrypha, that the Most High is liking his glory like unto a ring. Trust me, it's going to come around to you. It's going to come around to you. So the best thing to do is try to get ahead of it and keep praying and fasting. The Most High to prepare you for whatever He has to put that He's going to place upon you. Because when you're in the truth, the Most High going to chastise you. That's how you know that He's dealing with you, and you're one of His sons and not a bastard. So back to what Paul was going through, verse 10. This is the reason why Paul was able to take pleasure in those infirmities, because he knows the Most High is dealing with me. The Most High, I'm a son of His. You know, I know that. That's why he ended up writing what he wrote in Hebrews. Verse 12, back in 2 Corinthians 12 and 10, it says, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Yahweh's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So when you think that you're weak, you're really strong. Because most people, the 2/3, if that was placed upon them, they would have been tapped out. They can't handle that. They can't. The scriptures ain't built. The scriptures aren't built for the 2/3 to go through these infirmities, which is why they're not going through it. They're not going through the stuff that the brother's going through. If they're going through anything, it's because it's their own sins that they're paying for. Whether it's for sins they constantly doing now, or paying for sins they did in a previous life, in a reincarnation. So the next scripture I'm gonna get into is since Paul went through what he went through, then he went out through the ministry and started setting up camps. Is what it really is. They call it churches, setting up the churches, but they really were camps that he was setting, because those were men that he set up. There's a situation, I want to read this, because there's men that came after Paul that was in the faith, that they had a time where they had to go through this. So Paul wrote, I'm going to start at his first Thessalonians, the 3rd chapter, and it goes into this. This is verse 1. It says, wherefore, when we could no longer forbear, we thought it good to be left at Athens alone, and sent Timotheus, our brother and minister of Yahweh, and our fellow laborer in the gospel of Yahweh, to establish you and to comfort you concerning your faith. So what Paul did was, he knowing that these men that he had brought into the faith, that they came into the faith, Salakia, let's put it in a proper perspective. He taught the word, but the Most High gave the increase and brought them in. So he was fishing, and they came into the faith. Paul needed to know about that, because he's still going through catching hell, right? He's still catching hell, but he wanted to know how the men that we had previously just departed from, how are they holding up in the faith? How is are they being strong? So he sent Timotheus, fellow laborer, to go see upon those men. It says, verse 3. It says that no man should be moved